Okay, this is a characterization review for part two, The Sieve and the Sand, for Fahrenheit 451. We're going to start looking at Guy Montag, and it says, he grows to see in this part of the story that books are special and worth sacrificing for, and he wants to make sure that the books that he's collected already are saved. So he's very protective of them throughout this part of the story as he takes them over to Faber's house and has them at his house when he comes back. But we begin to see that even more, he's not buying into the activities that the other firemen do, and he ultimately decides to turn against the firemen with the help of Faber. Mildred, we begin to see that she's continuing to disintegrate and cannot face reality, and is often self-medicating herself to get through this. She fears books. We see actions where she actually fears books, and she even, at the end of part two, turns on her husband because she is buying into the norms and the rules of her society. The other three characters that we're going to look at, Captain Beatty, again, we've seen him before, and he's a man that's used to being followed and listened to by the other firemen. He's an authority. He seems to be so well read and so well versed that he uses this knowledge as a way of staying in control. He hates books at this point in time, and he's quick to burn them without even any kind of care, very nonchalant about it. Faber, who we're introduced to in part two, is an old college professor that has been too scared up to now to stand up and do anything. He waits for Montag to arrive in order to be inspired to act. And he goes to teaching Montag about the truth, about knowledge and what knowledge is and where knowledge can come from, and also the importance of failure and why we want to risk things in order to educate ourselves. Finally, the last character that we're looking at is Mrs. Phelps, a friend of Mildred's, and she, along with Mrs. Boyles, show how people are not connected to their emotions at all, that they are distant from their emotions, don't even understand why they feel the way they do. Everything that should be important to her is trivialized, and she tends to look only on the surface of things and focus on that. And if it's nice and pretty on the surface, then it is something worth keeping and worth focusing on.